Olivia Carter's hands trembled as she slid open the closet door, the faint scent of cedar and old paper curling into her senses. She had been searching for a misplaced notebook, something trivial, yet her eyes caught the worn, leather spine tucked behind Daniel Hayes' jackets. Her heartbeat accelerated, a cold thrill crawling along her spine, as if the universe had conspired to make her discover it. She flipped it open, and the first page was handwritten, meticulous every word about her. Olivia notices the little things no one else does, it read. Her name, her routines, the way she bit her lip when nervous Daniel had observed everything. A chill gripped her. Love or obsession? The line blurred instantly. Olivia felt a pang of fear mixed with fascination, unaware that the story she was reading was only the beginning, and that the journal's final pages would not be about her at all. Olivia Carter sank deeper into the plush armchair, the journal resting heavily on her knees. Each entry she read unveiled details so intimate, she felt both exposed and mesmerized. Daniel Hayes had written about her morning routines, her favorite coffee blend, the way she hummed softly when focused. She traced the sentences with her fingers, a chill settling over her. It was love. Yes, but a love that felt like surveillance. Olivia's mind raced. How much of this had he actually noticed? And how much had he imagined? Every line blurred the line between affection and obsession, leaving her questioning not only Daniel's intentions, but her own safety. Later that evening, Olivia's best friend, Elena Moore, arrived unexpectedly. Elena's intuition was razor sharp. She immediately sensed Olivia's unease. "What's wrong?" she asked, eyes narrowing as Olivia reluctantly showed her the journal. As Elena flipped through the pages, her brow furrowed. Each entry about Olivia seemed too precise, too personal, hinting at a man who watched far more than he should. Elena's voice was firm but calm. "Olivia, this isn't just love. This is control." Olivia's stomach knotted. Part of her wanted to laugh it off. Part wanted to flee. She realized the journal wasn't just a collection of memory as it was a window into a mind that could be dangerous. Olivia confronted Daniel later that night. "Why did you keep this?" she asked, her voice steady but her hands trembling. Daniel Hayes looked up from the kitchen counter, feigning casual surprise, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "I just like remembering things about us," he said smoothly, his eyes locking on hers. But Olivia felt a subtle tension beneath his charm, an undercurrent she hadn't noticed before. The warmth of his words contrasted sharply with the cold, meticulous details in the journal. Fear and fascination clashed within her. She wanted answers, yet every fiber of her instinct whispered caution. Late at night, Olivia lay in bed, the journal on the nightstand like a silent sentinel. She couldn't stop thinking about the first page, the way Daniel had chronicled her life so precisely. Curiosity gnawed at her fear. She wanted to know more, even though part of her whispered to burn it, to erase every trace of his obsession. She turned on her side, staring at the ceiling, shadows of the room stretching long and dark. Sleep eluded her as she realized this journal was not just about memory or love. It was a map, one that could lead her to the truth about the man she thought she knew, and possibly danger she hadn't yet imagined. Olivia Carter noticed small shifts in Daniel Hayes. The way he lingered just a second too long at doorways. The way his eyes flickered toward her phone when she typed messages. She tried to ignore it, chalking it up to paranoia, yet the journal haunted her. Every page she had read lingered in her mind, making her hyper-aware of his presence. "Am I imagining this?" she whispered to herself one morning, gripping her coffee cup. The warmth didn't reach her fingers. A chill of suspicion coiled through her chest. The man she loved seemed just slightly not the man she thought she knew. Flashbacks surfaced unbidden as Olivia recalled past moments. Daniel holding her hand tightly during a party. insisting she check her messages immediately, noting details she had forgot. The journal had framed these memories in an unsettling clarity. The thought struck her: how long had he been observing, cataloging? Elena Moore had warned her. Yet Olivia's heart wavered between denial and fear. Every loving glance Daniel gave now carried a hidden weight, a subtle reminder that nothing about their intimacy was accidental. Curiosity collided with unease. Olivia discovered inconsistencies in Daniel's stories, the trips he claimed to have taken, the conversations he remembered differently. It gnawed at her rationality. Could someone so meticulous really forget details? Or was there a deeper, more sinister reason? The journal, once a relic of their intimacy, now became a puzzle of deception. Olivia felt as though she were walking a tightrope, balancing love, trust, and a creeping dread that someone she adored might not truly be who he appeared to be. Elena Moore began quietly investigating Daniel's past. She scrolled through public records, social media accounts, and old photographs, looking for anything that didn't align with the man Olivia described. A photograph caught her eye: Daniel standing with a woman whose smile was forced, eyes avoiding his camera. A pit formed in Elena's stomach. Olivia needs to see this, she thought, sensing the pattern emerging. The unease that had started as a whisper was now a full-fledged alarm, signaling danger that neither Olivia nor Elena could ignore. That night, Olivia lay awake again, replaying Daniel's gestures, the journal's words echoing in her mind. The room was silent, except for the occasional creak of the apartment settling. Each shadow on the wall seemed to stretch and twist, transforming ordinary objects into instruments of suspicion. Fear and fascination had entwined into a single, suffocating knot. Olivia realized the journal was no longer just a record, it was a warning, and every loving word Daniel had ever whispered might have been part of a larger, chilling design. Olivia Carter stared at the journal, her fingers tracing lines that no longer seemed directed at her alone. Mentions of names she didn't recognize, women whose habits and quirks were recorded with the same obsessive precision, sent a shiver down her spine. Daniel Hayes, once a comforting presence, now appeared like a specter of surveillance, watching lives like catalogued specimens. Olivia's stomach knotted. Each entry suggested a pattern she hadn't been ready to see. She wasn't special, she was the latest in a meticulous sequence. Fear intertwined with fascination. Her trust wavered dangerously. She began noticing subtle signs in her surroundings. Photos missing from walls, small personal items slightly out of place, a feeling of being observed that she could no longer dismiss. Every glance Daniel threw her way now carried weight, every casual question an edge of scrutiny. Olivia's mind raced, connecting the journal's cryptic references with reality. What had seemed like love was now surveillance, and what had seemed ordinary was anything but. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, felt increasingly like a stage set for Daniel's hidden script. Unable to confront him directly, Olivia tested Daniel subtly, asking questions about the other women mentioned in the journal. Daniel Hayes smiled effortlessly, deflecting, charmingly mysterious. "You worry too much," he said, brushing her concerns aside. But the tension beneath his words was palpable. Each evasive answer gnawed at her confidence, forcing Olivia to acknowledge the frightening possibility. Daniel's obsession wasn't limited to her. She was just one chapter in a much larger, chilling pattern, one she feared might never end. Elena Moore grew increasingly alarmed. She had found multiple digital traces, social media accounts, photos, and posts of women Daniel Hayes had been close to, each showing subtle discomfort or avoidance. Patterns emerged like footprints in sand: obsession, attention, and then retreat. Elena confronted Olivia, whispering urgently, "This isn't just a relationship, Olivia. This is a pattern. He's done this before." Olivia's hands shook. The journal had revealed the truth. But seeing the evidence laid bare sent the fear from abstract to tangible, as though Daniel's gaze could reach them across space and time. That night, Olivia lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The journal now a weight she could not put down. Her mind replayed Daniel's smiles, his subtle control, and the eerie consistency of his attention toward others. Fear, curiosity, and revulsion twisted together, leaving her sleepless. She realized that the journal was no longer just about love, it was a map of behavior, a blueprint of control. And the final pages, still unread, hinted at another story she was terrified to discover, one that might not involve her at all. Olivia Carter sat cross-legged on the living room floor, journal open, flashlight casting shadows across the pages. Hidden between the words were subtle codes, references, and patterns she hadn't noticed before. The journal wasn't just about daily habits or fleeting thoughts, it contained dates, locations, and cryptic symbols connecting different women in Daniel Hayes' life. A sense of dread coiled tight in her chest. Whoever he had documented next was already being watched. Olivia felt like a detective uncovering a map where each mark led to obsession, control, and danger. Flashbacks surged into Olivia's mind, like fragments of a puzzle. Conversations, smiles, and gestures she had dismissed now took on sinister undertones. Daniel Hayes had been meticulous, observing, recording, cataloging. Each loving word he had spoken was now laced with manipulation. Olivia realized she had been part of a cycle, a well-rehearsed pattern, executed with subtlety. The journal illuminated his previous targets, his obsession with control, and the meticulous manner he used to ensnare his partners. Horror and clarity collided in her chest. Olivia discovered the final entries different from the first, detailed not about her, but about a woman she didn't recognize. Daniel Hayes had documented her habits, routines, and vulnerabilities with the same precision he had once reserved for Olivia. A pit formed in Olivia's stomach. The journal wasn't just love letters, it was a blueprint for obsession. She realized, with a chilling certainty, that the woman in the last pages could soon face what Olivia had narrowly escaped. The dread was immediate, visceral, leaving her breathless and trembling. The gravity of the journal's final pages propelled Olivia into action. She needed to understand who this woman was and whether she could intervene before Daniel Hayes acted. Every line of the journal had been meticulously chronicled, every habit, every smile, every subtle fear noted. Olivia realized she had to confront the reality she had ignored. This wasn't merely a private obsession. It was a dangerous, ongoing cycle. Elena Moore would have to help her untangle the web before it ensnared another life. Olivia sat in silence with Elena respectively, piecing together dates, locations, and details from the final entries. The horror of realization spread through Olivia. She wasn't the only one, and the journal was proof of a premeditated obsession. Daniel Hayes was a predator disguised as a boyfriend, and the last pages of the journal were a chilling promise that his pattern was not over. Fear, determination, and a sense of betrayal fused into a singular resolve. Olivia knew she had to act before the next chapter unfolded. Olivia Carter had spent hours planning her move, mapping out Daniel Hayes' partner, habits, and routines. Tonight, she set a silent trap, positioning herself in the dimly lit apartment with Elena Moore on standby. Every creak of the floorboard, every shadow shifting against the walls, made Olivia's pulse quicken. She flipped open the journal one last time, memorizing the entries that could predict his next move. The thrill of knowledge mingled with fear. Olivia realized the hunter had become the hunted, and the balance of power was about to shift. Daniel Hayes paused mid-step, sensing a shift in the apartment's energy. Olivia held her breath, journal in hand, watching every micro-expression. He moved closer, a practiced smile on his lips, masking suspicion. "Everything okay?" he asked, voice smooth, too smooth. Olivia's mind raced if every word he spoke could be a lie. every gesture a test. Elena, behind the sofa, adjusted her grip on her phone, ready to call for help. The tension was suffocating, the room a stage for a battle of wits and nerves that could tip into danger at any second. Daniel's smile faltered subtly as he noticed Olivia's intensity. "You've been reading again," he said, tone soft but laced with a hidden edge. Olivia met his gaze steadily, her heart hammering. "I needed to understand you," she replied, voice firm. Every word, every pause was a delicate maneuver in this silent duel. Daniel Hayes leaned closer, his charm cracking just enough to hint at something darker. Olivia realized she was walking a tightrope. A single misstep could unleash the very obsession she had been trying to escape. The confrontation escalated when Daniel's hand brushed against the journal as if claiming it by right. Olivia flinched, adrenaline spiking. "Hands off," she warned, voice sharp. His eyes glinted with the thrill of challenge, yet his composure remained, a predator playing with prey. Elena silently called authorities from the corner of the room, her heartbeat echoing Olivia's tension. The apartment, once intimate, had transformed into a battlefield of observation, manipulation, and raw fear where control could shift in a single heartbeat. In a heartbeat, Olivia made her move. She clutched the journal and stepped back toward the door, Elena Moore following swiftly. Daniel Hayes froze, his eyes a mixture of surprise and calculation. The apartment had become a crucible of suspense, every movement deliberate, every glance loaded. Olivia realized the confrontation was not over until she escaped, and even then, the shadow of Daniel's obsession would linger. Tonight she had survived the first round, but the journal's final entries remained a haunting reminder of danger. Still lurking, Olivia Carter had packed a small bag in silence, every movement deliberate. The journal lay beneath her arm like a talisman of truth and danger. Elena Moore whispered instructions, guiding Olivia through the darkened apartment. The city outside was a maze of shadows, every sound amplified by fear. Daniel Hayes could arrive at any moment, and Olivia felt the weight of his obsessive attention pressing against her back, even when he was nowhere in sight. Every step toward freedom was both liberation and gamble. Each heartbeat, a reminder of what she was risking and what she might lose. They navigated the narrow stairwell of the apartment building, Olivia gripping the railing, every creak echoing like an alarm. Elena stayed close, guiding her friend with urgent whispers. Outside, the street was deserted, fog curling around lampposts. Olivia's mind raced. Was Daniel following them, waiting to reclaim what he believed was his? Every shadow seemed to twitch with intent. The journal, once a source of knowledge, now felt heavier with the weight of premonition, reminding her that escape was only the beginning. Once outside, Olivia Carter and Elena Moore blended into the misty night streets, the journal tucked tightly beneath Olivia's arm. Streetlights flickered, and the occasional sound of distant traffic echoed in the fog. Olivia's heart pounded with a mix of relief and fear. Daniel Hayes remained unseen, yet his presence lingered in the corners of her mind, a silent predator whose plans were far from finished. Each step away was liberation, but also a reminder. The escape was temporary, and vigilance had become a constant companion. They reached a small, safe apartment Olivia had rented in advance, Olivia's hands trembling as she locked the door behind them. Elena double-checked the windows, ensuring no trace of Daniel Hayes lingered. The journal was placed on a table, a constant reminder of the past hour's terror. For the first time, Olivia felt a glimmer of control, though fear still clung to her like a second skin. Each shadow in the room could have been him. Each unexpected sound could signal pursuit. Survival had a fragile, tense beauty, and Olivia knew the next hours would determine her ability to reclaim safety. As Olivia finally sank into a chair, journal in hand, she allowed herself a brief breath. The night was silent except for the occasional hum of distant traffic. Elena remained vigilant, scanning the room with a practiced gaze. Daniel Hayes had not pursued them yet, but the knowledge of his obsession lingered, a threat that could erupt at any moment. Olivia realized that escape did not erase danger. It merely shifted the battleground. The journal, heavy with evidence and fear, remained a testament to survival and a warning of what could still come. Olivia Carter sat on the edge of her bed in the quiet apartment, the journal closed but heavy on the nightstand. The air felt dense with memories she couldn't shake. Each page was a reminder of Daniel Hayes, a man whose charm masked a darkness she could never unsee. The adrenaline of escape had faded, leaving a raw ache of vigilance and mistrust. Olivia knew she had survived, but the echo of his obsession remained, a shadow that would follow her, haunting every cautious glance, every hesitant smile. Even in safety, Olivia's mind remained alert. She noticed every sound: the hum of the refrigerator, distant traffic, the rustle of curtain saws, though Daniel Hayes could appear in any shadow. Her trust in others was frayed, her intuition sharpened to a knife's edge. Elena Moore offered reassurance, yet Olivia understood that survival was not just physical, it was a state of constant psychological vigilance. Fear had become a companion, and the journal a reminder of the fragile line she had crossed between love and danger. Olivia reflected on the journey. The initial love, the creeping obsession, the realization of patterns, and the confrontation. Each memory weighed heavily, a reminder that charm could disguise danger and affection could harbor control. Daniel Hayes had left a trail of meticulously documented obsession, and the journal was her evidence and her warning. Olivia's heart ached not just for herself, but for the unnamed woman in the journal's final pages. Survival brought clarity, but also a piercing sense of responsibility to remain vigilant. Night after night, Olivia lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every detail she could remember about Daniel Hayes. She couldn't fully let go. His obsession was an imprint on her life. She trained herself to recognize patterns, to anticipate danger, to never underestimate the man who had once been her boyfriend. Elena Moore offered support, but Olivia knew vigilance was a lifelong necessity. The journal's pages had revealed more than secrets. They had shown a blueprint of control that could never be ignored. Weeks later, Olivia stepped outside into the bustling city streets, the journal safely locked away. Yet a flicker of movement and a passing reflection made her pause. Daniel Hayes was nowhere in sight, but the shadow of his obsession lingered. She understood now. Survival was not an end, it was a beginning. The journal's final pages had hinted at another victim, and though Olivia had escaped, Daniel's pattern persisted. She walked on, wary, resilient, and forever changed, aware that the story of obsession did not conclude with her alone.